Well, members of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign have staged a protest right outside the British Consulate out in Cape Town, and they want the United Kingdom to withdraw its support for Israel, and they're also accusing the United Kingdom and the United States of being accomplices in what they call genocide against the people of Palestine. Now, the protest action is also part of a nationwide action to pressure countries to withdraw their support for Israel and to also stop supplying them with arms and diplomatic cover. For this discussion, let's welcome Ms. Megan Choritz from the South African Jews for a Free Palestine. Megan, great having you on the show today. Welcome. So talk to us about some of your key demands as well as action that you are highlighting this global day of action against the current unfolding situation in Palestine.
Our demands are very, very clear, particularly when we are looking at the UK, USA, United Arab Emirates and other countries that are aiding and abetting Israel in the continued genocide and ethnic cleansing taking place in Palestine. With regard to the UK in particular, this support of Israel is fundamental to the UK because they actually handed over Palestine to become Israel. And this actually goes back as early as 1917. And in 1948, it was ratified by the Balfour Accord, and Israel was granted statehood on Palestine. What's happened now is that the UK are supplying arms components, they are flying planes over Gaza, they are declaring in words that they are concerned and worried about the starvation, but they are complicit in the genocide that is currently unfolding.
So, Megan, in terms of the South African government, what additional pressures are you also applying on them? Because there's long been calls that besides our current case at the ICJ, we can, move to ban some Israeli trade and close its embassies, as this would also send a very clear message on our country's stance against what's taking place in Palestine.
You're absolutely right. We must put pressure on our government. And the biggest one is boycott, divestments and sanctions. At the moment, South Africa still supplies coal to the Zionist entity, and that energy is used by Israel and can be used to continue the genocide. Coal is a very, very big problem, and any other business with the state of Israel needs to be boycotted. Firstly, on a simple level, people themselves need to boycott products that come from Israel or companies that do business with Israel. But it's bigger than that. The South African government has paid lip service in a very powerful way and declared that South Africa is against Israel and against the genocide. And that's what the ICJ and ICC cases have all been about. But it's absolutely not enough. The South African government needs to put pressure on Israel to stop the genocide immediately, to stop starvation immediately, and then to continue to boycott, sanction and divest.
Megan, talk to us about your other plans of action that you will be undertaking during this time to put more pressure on all these mentioned states. And also, did the British Consulate actually receive your memorandum of grievances? And what has been their responses to your protest action right at their premises early today?
Of course, they were warned in advance that we were coming. And suddenly today, all the people that were there at the British Consulate were away. And there was no one to hand over our memorandum to. And of course, we weren't allowed access into the building, which is a pretty standard sort of tactic about not engaging, but it is a real challenge. And I think we managed to make a big noise, and we managed to have a lot of people understand why we were there and what we were doing. There are campaigns, protest campaigns at the various US embassies, and there is also a protest campaign at the UAE embassy. Mm-hmm. This, of course, is just a small part of the kind of campaigns that we are involved in. Yesterday, we also stood outside the Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Center, demanding that the center acknowledges the current genocide, the one that's happening in live time.
Megan, due to the current, worsening humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in Gaza, in Palestine, what type of additional support do you seek as an organization, as people that are going to call for, for some action in order to put pressure against, world leaders to do something about this current situation in Gaza?
I think you've articulated that so perfectly. What's happening is that there is mobilization. I think masses all over the world are understanding that we are witnessing a genocide and deliberate forced starvation of an entire people. And so I think on the ground, people are mobilizing more and more and more. And we have to try anything we can to beg, bully, and force our leaders to hear our voices, because at the moment there is a disconnect between the people on the ground who are disgusted, horrified, and desperate. We're all trying to do whatever we can, but many of the world's governments are silent and, of course, absolutely complicit. And unfortunately, many of these governments are profiteering from this current genocide.
And history will definitely judge us in that light. Megan, thank you so much for this discussion. All right, that is, of course, Ms. Megan Choritz there from the South African Jews for a Free Palestine, as, of course, they were marching to, of course, the British Consulate out in Cape Town, handing over their memorandum of grievances for support to end the current crisis in Palestine.